Welcome to episode 16 of CharleChats, the Ecommerce Podcast. My name's Nick, I'm the founder of Charle, a Shopify agency based here in London, and I'm so excited to welcome you to our home for some very open, honest, and real conversations with some absolute A players in e-commerce right now. So without further ado, let's do this. Zero to 30 million in 6 years, 2 doses of Absolute Collagen taken every 2 seconds, and you were profitable in your first year. Darcy, what is the story of Absolute Collagen?
Oh, it's a long one, but me and my mum actually started Absolute Collagen. So I went to uni when I was 18. I went to do, was actually supposed to do psychology, but about 3 months before I was like, I'm going to do something I actually enjoy, which was, I liked eating.
Fair, me too.
I like food. So I decided to do food science, food development. Last minute. My sister at the same time, she was 17, she learned to drive. And my mum kind of woke up one day and didn't really, she was like, I don't have to drive the kids to school. Like, Darcy's left for uni. I can kind of do what I want to do. So she decided to do a fine art degree and go to uni at the same time as me, which, I mean, I think she had more fun. But it was a different uni. No, oh my goodness. That would have been
you turning up to Freshers Week together.
Yeah. No, that would have been horrible, wouldn't it? But she went to uni at the same time, did fine art. And during basically her second semester, she did this project on herself and she called it Dare to Go Bare. She didn't take her clothes off, which I always have to explain to people.
It's Dare to Go Bare and she did fine art. I mean, my imagination is going right now.
Wild. Art students are wacky, right?
They are.
Yeah.
Very true.
But basically in this project, she wanted to see how the world kind of perceived her. She chopped all her hair off. She had quite long kind of dark brown curly hair. She chopped it off and took the colour out. So it went kind of orange at first, and then it kind of went to the natural grey colour. She got a tattoo here that said, I'm more than just a body. She got a nose piercing and basically wore no makeup and really dowdy clothes.
And this was all triggered by you guys going to uni?
Apparently. Midlife crisis. She bought a motorbike actually 2 years before, like a Ducati, like 900cc. Like,
dare I say, is this a midlife crisis or is this just like an epiphany?
I think there's more. She's had multiple. She took us to China once to buy an elastic band. Like, honestly,
to what?
She's wild. She wanted to start this company with elastic bands, so she took us to China to buy some. She is wild, but she's always doing like different things. But basically, what she did when she kind of stripped herself bare was realised how insecure she was in herself. Like, no one actually gave a crap what she looked like. But she'd, for this so long, put so much self-worth on her appearance and what she's like. She kind of moved into my dad's life when they met. And she was kind of like the stay-at-home mum, like always kind of the one that everyone would go to. She was great, but she was never herself. So she always kind of pretended to be someone she's not. So part of this art project, she realised that she wasn't very confident in herself, and started basically going on a journey like, I need to change my perception. I need to actually have a bit more self-worth. I need to think more highly of myself and not put everything on the way I look, essentially.
And is that something you guys realised as well? Or is it something that she identified and was like, this is how I feel?
Honestly, I opened my bedroom door to the new hair transformation and to the tattoo and the nose piercing. I was 19. I was like, what are you doing? This isn't okay.
You were just about to go to uni and you're like, what is going on?
Yeah, I'm like, I can't leave you now. Okay? Like, she needs me to look after her. What's going on? So no, I kind of ignored her at this point. She'd always done crazy things. She's got ADHD. She's quite wacky. I'm quite like level-headed and not as wacky, I'd say. Maybe slightly crazy. But she basically went on this journey of kind of holistically looking at what she was putting in her body and the way she was treating herself. Like I said, she did have this tattoo that said, I'm more than just a body. She had like a post-it note on her window, on her mirror every day, that basically kind of reinstated the same message. And every day she'd sort of wake up and think, prior to this, who do I need to be every day? Is it, you know, you have kids, you have friends, like partners. Are you like a doctor of the day? Are you a psychologist? Who do other people need you to be? But for the first time in her life, she wanted to be herself and be okay about that. So she started looking at what she put in her body, started drinking bone broth. So we'd make up these big vats. And her friends were like, what are you doing? You look good. Like, you look like you've got more confident. You've got a spark in your eye. Like, what's happened? And she's like, I'm taking this bone broth. Do you want some? They said, yes.
I want to look like that.
Exactly, yeah.
I want a spark in my eye now.
I was coming back from uni, like occasionally I'm like, what is she doing? Like cooking up these big vats of chicken feet and pig's trotters.
And where did like the idea of bone broth come from?
So everyone in America was doing it.
Okay.
So weirdly at the time, you could actually go to Pret in London or whatever and buy bone broth. They don't do it anymore.
Really?
Yeah. So it was like, this was back 2015, 2016, and then officially launched in 2017. But it got really hard work and she was making it for her friends. And then we were like, what's in it? Had a look. It's the collagen in it, blah, blah, blah. And we were like, we'll just buy you some online and then you can buy it yourself. Like, we'll give you a company.
No more cooking chicken feet.
No more cooking chicken feet. Honestly, we'd have to peel them. Oh, it was a mess. But there was nothing out there. So there was 2 products on the market with collagen in. It wasn't the hero. They were really big formats, not easy to drink. Like, we know our customer is super busy. So it just didn't work. So we're like, okay, well, we'll just make something. I could use the labs at uni doing food science to develop it. Like, all my uni coursework and projects is on Absolute Collagen. It's all really strange. And that was all obviously after we started the business.
Was that chance?
Like, complete chance.
Really?
Like, in the fact I even changed degree like 3. I used all my 5 options when I applied for uni. Like, I had to go through clearing to change courses.
That's mental.
It's really weird. Like, the stars are massively aligned. Like, my dissertation's on the difference between health claims and beauty claims, which even is really weird because that's like the market we sit in now. But yeah, I think I'm probably one of the people that can confidently say they use their uni degree in their job, which is good.
I definitely don't. I used to be a paramedic, so.
So then we had these little sachets and it was always letterbox friendly. We never really had a plan or anything. It was like, we've got this project, it's really good and it works and people really like it. How can we get it to as many people as possible? So we started digital marketing and grew. Facebook was big then. I mean, it still is big now, but it's different, isn't it? So then we started selling this little yellow sachet of collagen on Facebook. And we put it on subscription and then more people were buying it. We created this community of people that loved our product and they would become our like advocates, really. And then we built that over sort of 4 years. And then in 2020, we took investment. We're probably turning over about 16 million at the time with one product, which was, I think, insane to say the least.
Incredible. And I just want to take a quick step back. So you mentioned like science versus like, does it actually work? Tell me a little bit more about that in terms of like making bold claims. And, you know, obviously your mum had a great experience drinking bone broth, but then
how does that translate?
Yeah, how did that then translate to being a product that is A, in a little sachet, and B, can you actually like substantiate the claims that you're making confidently?
I think it's such an interesting topic because when we first started, we didn't have the money to do full clinical trials. They're expensive. We've got them now. They cost us over £250,000.
Wow.
It's a big investment, but we knew that we had to do that.
Yeah, because for me, like when I see these products online, I see vitamins all the time now and they have like beautiful packaging. Even the capsules look gorgeous and so on. And in the back of my mind, I'm like,
does it work?
Does it work? Is this a load of shit? Like, being honest, like that is always my first step. And maybe because I work in e-com, I'm a little bit more, I have a higher threshold to actually believe in what I read. But I imagine that was a hurdle for you guys at the beginning.
Yeah, huge.
Managing inventory doesn't have to be a guessing game. Inventory Planner by Sage makes it simple to forecast demand, optimize stock, and free up cash flow, and saves you loads of time. It's time to ditch the guesswork and the spreadsheets. With Inventory Planner, you'll make smarter, data-driven purchasing decisions, cut excess stock by 1/3, and reduce costly stockouts by 65%, ensuring you always have the right products at the right time. That's why our clients, such as the Secret Linen Store, chose Inventory Planner to help take control of their stock, managing multiple locations with a large product portfolio. From automated replenishments to seamless integrations, precise stock transfer and advanced forecasting and reporting. They'll get you up and running in just 4 weeks. Are you ready to take control of your inventory? Try Inventory Planner by Sage, helping you work smarter and not harder. Get in touch with them today.
We decided to go direct to consumer because there was the education piece needed. Like, collagen was super nascent. Like, it wasn't really a thing. There wasn't really any products out there. People didn't really know what it did. But we knew that we needed clinicals and we knew that we needed like to get the facts straight. And that was really important. We knew that it worked for my mum and her friends. So we approached suppliers with really good clinical data behind them that they could support us. And then a couple of years later did our own clinical, which was 135 people, double blind, placebo controlled, which basically means that the people taking it and the people giving and taking the measurements don't know which group they're in, which was some incredible results with that. Like 27% increase in new hair count on your head compared with placebo, which is about 3, 60% increase in skin elasticity compared with placebo, which was, I think, about 4 or 5. Placebo effects are big, like they genuinely are in like drug studies. So to get those results, I was really, really pleased with them. We have over 30,000 data points within those trials. But I'm super happy with the results. Like, we know that there's a 27% decrease in wrinkles. And if you take the product every other day, that decreases to 8%. So the habituality piece is so crucial, which is why it works on subscription and D2C so well.
And how many years in were you when you did your clinical trials?
About 4.
4 years in.
Yeah, so but before then it was really using our customers as advocates, building that community strong base. And now it's like, okay, we're the size we are, we can afford to do this, we need to make this investment, and we have the responsibility to our customers. And we lead the market, so we have the biggest market share in what we do. We need to set it straight because there is a lot of players in collagen. There's a lot of players in supplements. There's a lot of shit out there. I'm quite skeptical of supplements. I don't take everything under the sun. And I think it can be confusing if you want to buy like a magnesium. It's like, well, do I buy magnesium? Which type do I buy? Because there's so many.
Yeah.
And it's confusing.
So you're 4 years in. You've got one product at this point?
We had a couple of flavours at that point then.
Fine.
But yeah.
So one main SKU, you're 4 years in, and you're now about to put £250,000 into a clinical trial.
I made me feel sick.
And you did not know whether the last 4 years are going to be worth it, right?
Clinical trials are really risky. There's so many things that can affect them. That's why I was so proud that we got 13 different clinical measures. So that's like looking at ultrasound on the face, like all different things like that. Trichoscopy, which is like a microscope for your hair. And they all passed, like they all did really, really well, which was amazing. And then we even wrote that study up. I've got my name on a published peer-reviewed paper. I feel like that's like, I like science. I'm a massive nerd. So I'm like, this is amazing.
But also that represents the work that you put in to growing that business.
Yeah.
You know, with my business, I'm coming up 7 years in. Less than half of that away, I can't imagine going through a process where I'm putting a huge amount of capital in it and going, they might tell me all the work that I've done has no clinical significance to what I'm really hoping it does. That must have been a moment.
A big risk.
Was it like a TV moment where they pick up the phone and you're like, they've got the results?
But you know what? So like you do your clinical trial, which is 3 months. You prep for about 6 months before that. And we actually at the time hired a full-time in-house doctor who basically did his PhD 25 years ago in collagen. So he's in-house full-time now. He's ace. And then you do the trial and I'm like, okay, I want the results. And they're like, well, we need to analyze 30,000 pieces of data. And so they basically send you this report, which is so long, which doesn't really have like a little nice synopsis summary at the front.
Just upload it to ChatGPT. It'd be fine.
You know what? That would have been the vibe, wouldn't it really?
Does it work?
Yeah, yes or no. But now we can confidently say like Absolute Collagen does really work. Skin, hair, nails, whatever it might be. But we had the data behind it before, and we'd done a lot of smaller in-house user trials and things like that. But now it was about, okay, how do we professionalize the business? Like we've got a bigger team now. It's not just me and my mum in the garage. We used to have interviews and people used to come around to our house. It was bizarre. I remember this girl started and she went home. We used to cook everyone lunch every day, which is a bit weird actually thinking about it.
And she
went home. Yeah.
I'm definitely not cooking anybody lunch.
And she was like, they cooked me a ham. We had a cooked ham on the first day. I'm like, it's quite normal. I had monkfish curry once. Everyone was like, this is fucking weird.
So in your heart, did you think this trial's going to be fine?
Yeah. I had...
You felt the benefits yourself of
the
product.
God. Yeah, like the results that we've seen with our customers... And the advocacy that they have for our product and the community that's built is incredible. And you touched on it before, like there's so many different supplements out there. And at the time when we were starting in 2017, a lot of the like weight loss drugs were coming out, like the teas and all of that stuff, not crap stuff.
All the smoothie cleansers.
Exactly.
I still see them now. I'm like, who's buying this?
Yeah, and I think it can be quite hard to sort of cut through, but once we've got that advocacy within our customers and they're really talking about it and loving it, it was kind of easier. And we'd put ads out on Meta and people would comment like, oh, this is snake oil, it's rubbish, blah, blah, blah. And our customers, and this was actually a strategy we had to put our ads out to existing customers first, would comment on it and basically say, oh, it's not crap, it's great, I take it, I love it, I've been taking it for X, here's my before and after photos, blah, 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 blah. Because before and after photos are a big thing for us. They're never going to build a brand but they are going to help someone consider to purchase.
Build trust, build that picture of your business actually works.
Yeah.
I guess that was a really hard thing for you guys to actually not only prove that your product works, but actually prove you're not just like another fad type product where, getting through the skepticism that people have about nutritional products. That must have been tough.
That's the good thing now about collagen, because at the time it was quite nascent. Like there wasn't really many products around. You didn't really, it wasn't a mainstream thing. Like biotin was probably more popular those days. And everyone has the skepticism that this isn't going to last. It's not going to be around. Like at the moment, I think we're going through like the ashwagandha lion's mane stuff, and it might be here in 5 years. It might not be here. But it's up to the brands now in the industry to kind of shape that. Like we know collagen. It's so interesting now walking into different retail stores. Collagen used to have a section. Now it's just integrated in everything. You can walk to beauty, hair and nails, joints, wellness, and there'll be collagen products integrated in every aspect. And the education piece is really interesting. Like our product is, I've got a sachet actually, but it's 10 mil, 8,000 milligrams. So that's 8 grams. If you're going to have that in tablet form, you need about 16 pills. So a lot of people will say that collagen doesn't work. I'm like, yeah, but you're taking a pill and you're probably getting a maximum 1 gram of product.
You're not taking enough.
You're not taking enough, and you're not taking the right sources. And then traceability and supply chain is really quite interesting in it. There's a lot in the press about bovine collagen and the sustainability factors that aren't really that great. Is the reason we use marine, to be fair. But there's a lot of noise in collagen, which is confusing for people.
So I'm just going to take you back. You're at university. You're studying a food tech degree. What was that transitional moment to when your mum is drinking bone broth, feeling great, and you're at uni studying? What was that moment where either one of you said, let's make a business?
So I was in my second year of uni. So I'd moved out. I'd gone to live at uni. And I was like, I think I need to move home. So I managed to get out of my contract for our house. And then I moved back from uni. And I remember we didn't have a desk. And our office phone was our home phone line, which was really weird. Like people would call it. It is, isn't it? And we'd never had, this is really bad, we'd never had like a plan. We never had like KPIs. We weren't genuinely sure what we were doing. All we knew that we needed to get this product out to as many people as possible. I remember it was never like we had never had a conversation about it, like, which is a bit weird thinking about it. My mum's always been very trusting of me. Like her and my dad split up when I was 12. I'm kind of she won't hate me for saying this. I'm quite responsible. I'm not a risk taker. She is the complete opposite. So she sat me down, and I remember we approached a digital market agency, Bolt Digital, with Tash, Courtney Smith. And Tash was like, I'm not taking any more clients. And Maxine was like, just look at my product. And she took us on. But I remember the first month's fees were £8,000, which were, I think, £3 grand in fees and £5 grand in ad spend or something. Yeah. And Maxine was like, I think we should do it. And I was like, that's a lot of money. Like we're not selling any products at the moment. Like we haven't got the capital. She's like, we'll just remortgage the house and then we'll put the money into it. So we remortgaged the house and put about 150 grand into AC, and that was gone on stock, and then that ad spend. And luckily we had a really great product. It was really cheap to market at the time. Like we all know that the landscape and D2C and Meta, etc., has changed a bit, and we just had a really good proposition that people really liked.
So you've literally put your house on the line for this business.
Yeah, it's quite scary, really.
Was there a moment at the time where you thought, what if this doesn't work?
We never thought it was never going to work, which is so naive. And I was speaking to someone the other day, and they were like, what's the biggest thing that's helped you with AC? And I genuinely think it's that naivety. Like we're super lucky that it has worked. We believed in the product really does work, and we believe in our community, but it could have all gone a lot wrong. And even me and my mum's relationship, people romanticize about wanting to work with family, but it's really hard. We've got a different relationship now than we had before. Like we get on so well, but we don't have that mummy-daughter relationship. We wouldn't go shopping. I don't like shopping anyway, but we wouldn't go shopping. But it's just a different relationship. We're very respectful of each other. My sister works in the business. I say my dog works in the business, but she just comes to the office. She doesn't do much.
Has the relationship between you and your mum since the business changed?
I think so. I think it's had to. Like, back in the early days, there was me, my mum, and a guy called Brad. She has always been so trusting of me. I always did like ops and a bit of the brand marketing stuff. I would just order 200 grand of collagen from Vietnam or France. Reputable suppliers, don't worry.
Running a retail business is exciting, but it's not always easy. Manual processes and outdated, disconnected systems slow you down. And that's where Bright Pearl by Sage comes in. Bright Pearl is a flexible and easy-to-use ERP solution built specifically for e-commerce businesses. It takes the stress out of operations by automating everything from order fulfillment, shipping, and accounting, while giving you real-time insights into your inventory and finances. With a library of seamless plug-and-play integrations, Bright Pearl by Sage connects your entire business effortlessly. And what's the result? You reclaim hundreds of hours, reduce hiring needs by 50%, and send orders up to 7 times faster. Whether you're expanding to new sales channels, managing multiple warehouses, or expanding internationally, Bright Pearl helps you scale smoothly and confidently. Why let outdated systems or spreadsheets hold you or your customers back? Contact Bright Pearl today.
And not tell anyone, but like I just do it. And then that would be it. And thinking back, I was 19. Like that's pretty wild. And she would just trust me and always, and I'm really respectful of that. Like if I ever have kids, like I want to be like my mum was with me. Like all my friends growing up would come to our house because my mum was so chill about everything. My sister was like, I'm going to get a tattoo at like 14. My mum was like, yeah, go get a tattoo. Go do what you want to do. And she's like, oh, she doesn't have a tattoo. They now have matching tattoos, which I was invited to participate in. But
where's your matching tattoo?
I don't like needles. Oh. Yeah, we've got lots of ear piercings together, but that's about it.
So you're in a really unique scenario. You've grown a business to 30 million with your mum. Mm-hmm. That is probably something that such a tiny percent of people in business will ever experience. Has there been moments where you thought this isn't working?
There's been kind of scary moments in the business. Like I remember just like stock going wrong and things like that. And everyone has those like
Was that your 200
stories.
grand Vietnam collagen
Luckily,
order?
that was all okay. But I remember like in the early days when you're just building up that subscriber base, we're putting a lot of cash into ad spend. We've got a lot of cash in stock. The money's running out quicker and quicker, but we didn't quite understand our metrics. Like we'd get a customer for a certain amount of money. They buy our product for £53 a month. They stay with us for quite a long time. And that base build. And we don't have much churn within our database, especially if we can get them over 3 months, they tend to stay. Mm-hmm. There was never really I think because we didn't have any like success criteria, we didn't really think about the negatives of it, if that makes sense. There was points where we were like, oh God, what do we advertise? Or what are we supposed to be? What's content? Yeah. Which is when we started using Maxine, my mum. I call her Maxine. I've called her mum so many times on this show. I don't call her mum in real life. It's easier.
Sorry, mum.
Sorry, mum. Yeah. We didn't have any content. We didn't have anything for shoots. Our agency were like, you need content. And we're like, okay, we'll just film videos of Maxine. And at the time that was probably quite new and the UGC stuff wasn't really a thing. So we just do like day in the lives and things like that. And it would be more about Maxine's story. We did ones on like fear of failure because she's gone through a lot in her life. Like she's adopted and just kind of stuff that's happened in the past. So we just talk about that. And yeah, it really worked. And that I think kind of influenced our customer base and how we use Maxine in our advertising. But it's always really authentic. We can't script her. It's a pain. She just has to speak from the heart, otherwise it doesn't work.
That's nice though. That's probably where it resonates with audiences in the fact that people can see that it's really real, effectively.
Definitely.
So if you don't mind me saying, like Maxine has been a face of the business from quite early days then, by what you're saying and what I've seen online. And how have you found that in that journey? You know, you're hustling hard, building a business. You're like, hey, where's my glory here?
Oh, I love being back of house.
Yeah?
Yeah. No, I love it. I am super happy. I'm more forward facing with the team probably. Mm-hmm. And that's where I'm happiest.
Yeah, nice.
Like I love doing stuff like this, but I also love the science and like just being nerdy in the background.
That is very fair. That is very fair. And I think, so just to finally touch on that relationship between you and your mum, you said that you felt it had changed things actually. What has there been times where you feel maybe it's taken away from a mother and daughter relationship in that you're at the dinner table and you're talking about when the next order's coming? Or...
To be fair, that's so my sister never used to work for the business, and nor did my partner actually. And every evening, me and Mum would just talk about it, and my partner would ask questions, and I get annoyed at him because I'm like, you don't know the full story. Stop, put your input in, which wasn't right. And my sister would be like, God, this is boring. So I think my partner was an accountant, so every night he'd help. And my sister was like, I just need to just join this business because you're doing my head in. So she does all our organic social. She's going on maternity leave next week, actually. She's having a baby at the end of Feb. She's scary. I'm like, oh God. It's just brought us a lot closer together. I'm not like a massive family person, I'd say, which is a bit of a weird thing to say.
No, not at all.
But Maxine's the one that keeps us all sort of together. But she's an incredible person. I'm glad to have her as a mum.
I love this story.
She's a good mum. Yeah. It's just different. Like, we just got really different relationship. Her and my sister have a different relationship, but she'll just always, I don't know, she's just always there when you need her. Except when she's climbing Kilimanjaro and doing crazy things, right?
And breaking bones.
Yeah, always.
But Darcy, what if it all went wrong? You've got your house on the line, you've got every penny that you're spending into that business on the line, and you've got the relationships with your family on the line. My
stomach just dropped then slightly.
I'm sorry.
No, we're out of it now.
I've got to ask.
Yeah, of course. I mean, there's been times in the business where we haven't necessarily got on as well. Maxine can be quite hot-headed or reactive, and she's definitely learned that that's not always the best way to be. But we've had kind of advertising complaints in the past that we've maybe, me and the other co-founder Brad, decided not to tell her, just thinking it was genuinely thinking the best decision. And me and Maxine have this phrase, like, always do the next right thing. Like, whenever you've got a decision to make, as long as I've known that I've done the next right thing, what I genuinely believe is the next right thing anyway, I can sleep at night and be happy about it. But this advertising complaint kind of blew up a little bit, and she ended up finding out about it from the other co-founder, but he never actually told me that he told her. So I didn't quite know how to handle that situation when she was probing about it. That did affect our relationship. I remember walking out the house after finding out that how it all came out and feeling quite almost betrayed, but then I've just also betrayed my mum at the same time. So it can be hard, and I think I cried for a couple of hours. It was lockdown. It was stressful, right?
Did you question in that moment whether you thought having a business with your family was the right thing?
Yeah, people think working with their family is going to be amazing and it's going to be great. And what is the percentage of businesses that actually succeed? I can't remember, but it's pretty low, right? Low. And the majority fail because of cash flow, and they've basically failed, right? We had my mum in the business, me in the business, my sister in the business, my partner in the business. By this point, about 2 years in, two of our best friends were also in the business. If it went wrong, there's a lot of powerful and strong relationships there that were really crucial to my life, and that your family's all you've got, right? And there's always been times, and I think this is where my mum's relationship's really good, and she's really respectful of me if I have an opinion that isn't aligned with hers. Like, we talk about it. We're very direct as people, and I think that freaks people out a little bit when we're talking to each other. But I think that really, really helps.
It's very un-British, isn't it?
It is very un-British.
I'm quite direct in the way I run my business, and I love it because I always think that there's like a founder's intuition where, like, if something's happening in my business that I'm really not enjoying, I cannot help but literally obsess over it. It's like my brain's just like hyper fixated. Is that what it's like with your mum when you're like, I need to just talk about this because I can't sleep right now?
Yeah, 100%. Like, we can be quite. She's quite like get straight to the point. I can be kind of tiptoe around the situation a little bit, but I think what I've learned in business and just generally relationships is you need to talk about things. You need to get out in the open. And if I've got a sense that something's off, or if she's got a sense if something's off, or if anyone has for that respect, you just need to talk about it because it probably is, and there's probably a problem somewhere. And that, I think that stems over from like just relationships in the business. If you think someone's not very happy, they probably aren't. And just being more open. And I think we've got this culture in AC and Absolute Collagen that is really open. And if you can talk to people about stuff and your personal life, you shouldn't keep your personal life at home. Like, if you want to chat about it at work, if you've got shit going on, then everyone needs to be respectful of that.
0 to 30 million in 6 years, that is a journey that not many people will achieve in life. I want to dive into the mechanics of the business. You mentioned a little bit earlier on about how subscriptions have become vital for the success of the business, and people stay with you for a long time.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about how you put your grasp onto your customers and keep them in and keep them buying, and ultimately make Absolute Collagen a really successful business.
Mm-hmm. So it was never set up to be a subscription business, weirdly. Subscription was like, oh, let's just do the subscription thing a few months in. And that was when we really started to see like the revenue ramp up. We know that we need to take our product for a minimum of 12 weeks. We send our orders out to our customers every 2 or 4 weeks. And that's because they're letterbox friendly. Our customer's busy. Bullseye customers like 47, female, shoulder length blonde hair. Usually doesn't have a lot of time. Herself isn't really her priority. So if we could get something that is shipped straight through the door, it's easy for her. She hasn't got to think about it, and she'll generally take it every day. So subscriptions become a huge part of our business. It's the majority of our revenue that comes in, and everyone knows that with a subscription business, you have to get exponentially better at getting customers as the pool gets bigger and you churn them. So we need to keep them. The collagen education piece is really interesting. We do a lot on flavors and tastes, and if you go on our website, you think we only have one flavor, but we actually have 3. We just test different ones and improved versions to try and genuinely eke out 0.01% decrease in churn. Like, we are at the stage now where we're a really established business. Like, the data infrastructure at Absolute Collagen is insane. Like, I don't know what those guys do, but they do really great work. Goes over my head slightly, more of a creative. But whatever we can do on that customer journey to help educate the customer that they need collagen, they need Absolute Collagen, which is the important part, and why they need AC over other brands, is really important. And it's great with kind of the personalization piece now. We can customize our CRM, our email flows, if someone's purchased because of hair, skin, nails, or whatever it might be, just to try and emphasize the different messages a bit more, which is really interesting. We've always done gifts in our orders. Because with subscription, it can be quite habitual getting the same order all the time. So if you subscribe to us, you'll get a little welcome gift, you get like a VIP gift and things like that. We've just launched our Absolute Rewards program, which is like a custom rewards platform at your AC anniversary. So at a year, you actually get to pick a free product. So that's one of our skincare. They value about £50, full size. You also get, and basically you get one of those gifts if you've been a good customer, I guess, and you've purchased enough boxes, because the biggest issue we have with customers leaving is they leave because they just forget to take the product, and then they have a build up, which is pretty mad. Like, they've invested £53 a month. I even forget to take it. Our CEO is hilarious. She's like, you guys send me too much product. I'm like, I have been into your account. I've counted your orders. We don't. Like, we do not send you. You're forgetting. She's like, I don't forget. I'm like, you forget. Everyone forgets. Everyone's too busy. So it's just about that habituality. Like, we've done like SMS messages and things like that. It's how do we integrate AC into daily life? And people will say, like, should I take it morning, evening, night? It doesn't really matter, because vitamin C you take any time of the day, collagen you can take any time of the day. It's genuinely how it fits into your life. I think we talked about it earlier, but in our clinical trials, when you take our product every other day versus every day, it's 4 times less effective, which is a wild stat. So you need to take it every day. And if you forget one dose, it's not the end of the world.
And that's a massive churn risk for you guys.
Yeah. If people don't see results, they're not going to stay. But it's actually interesting. Pre-COVID, a lot of people would say, oh, someone in the office told me I looked good, or I got a bit of a glow, or my skin looked good, or I looked fresher. In COVID, you didn't really get that. So it was then about how do we push people or promote just taking a before photo, take a photo, try and get it in the same lighting so you can genuinely look back and compare. So that's become a really big strategy with AC as well. That's how we do that.
So in terms of your strategy, obviously with most subscription businesses, you've probably got an acquisition strategy, get new people in, and then you've got a retention strategy to stop people leaking out of the bucket effectively. How much is, where is your focus right now? Is it on all of it, or are you hyper focused on one particular area more than another?
Yeah, so our structure in our company is a bit weird. We don't have a CMO. We have a director of customer who looks after retention, customer service, CRM, and that side of things. So
that is someone that's really making sure that you're not churning customers.
Exactly. And she's ace, Emma. So she basically looks after, that's also upselling to current customers and cross-selling. So it kind of sits in with that customer bucket. But the retention part of that is big. Like our trading report, for instance, a weekly trading, we do a slide on acquisition and a slide on retention. So like it is as important. We can move the needle on retention hugely. And there's some, crazy stats if we just reduce churn by like 1%, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it really is. We've just actually improved our flavour. And we've managed to reduce month 3 churn, it's a bit complicated, by like 4 percentage points, which is basically out of 100 people, 4 more are staying, which is huge for us. So and
then if they might stay to like month 7 or 8 or 9, rather than leaving at 3, then it's not just like, oh, they got an extra month.
Order.
Yeah, it could be like another year of revenue.
It's huge. So that's been a really interesting piece of work that we've done. And then obviously acquisition. Like I said, don't have a CMO. We have a digital director who looks after kind of, and then we have a brand director. So acquisition director, brand director, customer director. But all 3 pillars are as important as each other. They're kind of really, I guess, good, heavyweighted, strong people. But I think with e-com, it can be so tricky to find one person that's good at everything. And we've tried, to be honest, but we've got 3 awesome people in those roles and super happy.
I think it's really interesting you say about finding like all-rounders. And as Charle has grown, it's something I've really noticed is that in the early days, I used to have to do everything, as you do as the founder, but I asked my team to do that too. And the areas that we did terribly on were typically when I'd ask people who are non-specialists to deliver a specialist role or multiple specialist roles. So even today, like Andre, who will probably be watching, our head of sales, I used to be like, he manages a heavy inbound pipeline for our business. And I was like, on a Friday, can't you just do like a little bit of outbound, send a few messages? And he's like, Nick, you can't do it. It's like a full-time job. I was like, yeah, but look, we got to do a little bit. Come on. Anyway, then like a year later on, as we're starting to push different channels and so on, we've now hired a full-time outbounder, an SDR. He's like, fuck you, Nick. Like, look how big this of a job is. And that was probably a massive learning for me. And even as I'm pushing Charle to scale now, is actually being really realistic about what is an appropriate thing to ask of people. And actually, if you say, look, I really want you to focus on retention, that's all I want you to focus on.
Yeah.
I find out all the reasons why, then they'll probably deliver you tenfold of somebody that's doing, well, they probably will deliver something rather than nothing. It's been a massive learning for me, is that finding real specialist people rather than finding all-round people. That's
been a huge learning for me as well, is like the business is growing really rapidly. We've got 80 people now. The people that are with you at the start aren't necessarily going to be with you at the end. And I think we touched on it, is like people change and people grow, and people grow into roles that they're not necessarily happy with. They might have started in one role. My role, I used to be technically COO. I look after product, which is like product and science, and people and HR now. Like my role's changed. I love change, so I can embrace it and I'm happy. And I get to learn from the most insane people every single day. Like I don't profess that I'm the best at my job or whatever, and we've got an amazing team around us, but I think it's kind of hard to have those conversations with people. It's like, look, you did have a bigger scope. We're growing. You need to narrow it down, because sometimes they don't want that. And then you have those awkward conversations, but you just need people to be happy at the end of the day, and whether that's at your company or have left, and it's hard.
As a team gets bigger, it's interesting you mentioned like people being such a big, even earlier when we were talking about Maxine, and you were saying that, I'm really the face internally. And I think it's, as you've grown, has it become harder for you to make those assessments of, because you've got 80 people, right? That must be hard to go, I've got a gut. Like for me, I can always get a gut instinct of somebody, I'm like, that's not working, we need to fix that. Yeah. Or, let's have that difficult conversation where we're like, is this working for you? And then that person normally goes, no, it's not working for me. Is that getting harder for you as you, and I'm sure you've got like some managers and line managers and so on. How do you instill that in them to have that gut feel about just when something's not working, 9 times out of 10, it won't ever work.
It's not, it's going to be reciprocated. I think it's empowering the team, and I think that word gets massively overused, to be honest. But it's even in interviews. I remember speaking to someone, and they were like, "Darcy, I've had 3 CVs for this role. I'm a bit stuck between the 2 of them. Not really sure." I'm like, "Ask for more CVs. Like, it's not that's not a restrictive list. That's not conclusive. Like, I think, and then they're like, oh, I can go back. I'm like, yeah. So I think for a lot of us, it's about like the training that the team undergo, making sure that they understand what they can do and the parameters they can do it in. But then having a really open culture, like genuinely, like if someone, we do 2 days a week in the office, for instance, if you've got cough, you stay at home. If someone's poorly in your family, stay at home. If you need to be somewhere, I don't know, your kid's got a nativity, go 3 times at Christmas. I don't care. Like, I want you to do that. And by building that culture, and people, we interview people actually, and then when they come and work for us, they're like, oh, I thought what you sold me wasn't necessarily true, if that makes sense. You know, you can sell this like dream of a company, and they're like, genuinely, everyone's really lovely here. Everyone cares so much about the company. And I remember about 2 years ago, I think it got quite toxic. Like, people were working evenings and things like that. I was sending emails at silly times, and we do flexible working, but that can be a pain in itself, right? When you get emails at like 8:00. And it was kind of like a bit of a reset that's like, give 70% to your role. You don't need to give 100%. Like, you're never going to give 100%. And I am, maybe, because it's my company and I genuinely love it. Like 7:00 on a Saturday, I'm like, yay, let's get my laptop out. Or used to be, I'm not like that anymore. But I think it's just like, what do you expect of people? Like, you can't expect 100%. And I think there's that respectful relationship that we've got with our team, that enables them to sort of flourish in their roles. And we've seen some people that have come from, I don't know, one of our fulfillment operatives is now like our operations exec. Like, he's gone from warehouse packing fulfillment to admin and operations, and just seeing people grow is awesome.
So you mentioned it all got a bit toxic with people working too long, people giving too much to the business. How on earth did you step in and go, this is getting out of hand?
Yeah. One of the biggest things for us was just narrowing down priorities. It's like, we want to do a million things, and you can do that in the early days. You can be scrappy. Like, one of my skills is just, I do a lot of shit. I don't do it all 100% perfectly, but I can get a lot of stuff done. But not everyone's like that. And I think it's learning that not everyone's like that. And people do need a narrow scope, and then they'll grow and they'll thrive within that. But it was a look at, okay, we got everyone to basically submit in, what projects are you working on for the next 12 months or 6 months or whatever it is you know about. Overlay that with the months, and we could literally see there was like 20 projects a month going out, and no one's going to be able to do that. And everyone's got their individual personal KPIs at work and their team KPIs. And that's the good thing about AC, is people will drop their personal or their individual KPIs to help someone else's. And that's really nice, because they can see like the general direction of the business. But it was like, okay, let's get rid of half these priorities. Half of them are Christmas gifting. Get rid of it. We're not in retail. It's not necessary. Get rid of it. What's the biggest priorities? So now we've got sort of 5 big priorities, which are retention, acquisition, international, product. Oh my goodness, I've forgotten the 5th one. We'll do 4. We got 4. Cool. Right.
5 can be done next year.
Exactly. Yeah. And we've kind of restructured our meetings to have like a monthly exec with our leadership team and senior leadership team, where we talk about those priorities. We've now got a project manager who oversees all projects at the company. And we've got like Great Place to Work accreditation. So we're 17th best place, medium business. Oh, let me go again. We're 17th medium. Oh my God, what is it? 17th best medium-sized business in the UK for women. That's a mouthful, isn't it?
That is a mouthful.
Doesn't sound like a big achievement, but I think so. We actually got Great Place to Work.
That is a hard thing. I would struggle with that, I'm not going to lie.
So we've got Great Place to Work accreditation, and we're the 17th best place to work for women in the UK, which is like an astounding achievement, actually. But
that is insane.
It gives us some really good data points as to who's not happy in the business, why they're not happy, where is it where we can improve. And 2 years ago, it was kind of coming back as, we're not sure where we're going as a company, and it's that openness and just redefining priorities. So it was really just to stop people having to work those evenings, redefine priorities. This is actually what's important, then move from there, restructure the meetings a little bit. Meetings can be a bitch as well. People are in meetings all day.
I hate meetings. I just literally, if I've got a week where I know I've got like more than, I'm not going to put a number on because everyone might judge my number of meetings that I don't do. I hate it. I just feel like I can't be creative. I'm a creative at heart. So if I've then got a week where I'm full of meetings, it's like every ounce of my ability to do anything is gone, because I feel absolutely paralyzed. I need that freedom of schedule to make my brain just go, right, what's your next big idea, or what's the next thing you want to work on?
Yeah.
I hate it.
Someone said to me once in the business, oh, that person's not got a lot of work, they're not in a lot of meetings. And I was like, let's take a step back. It's not true. That's especially if you're in like with product, for instance, or brand. Like, I would love to spend a whole day reading clinical papers and looking at ingredients. I don't do that because I haven't got the time to do that. But and we've got people that do that now. But you just, you need that creativity in that space, don't you?
You do. But what I'd love to kind of move on to now is just that phase of the business where you took on investment, but more importantly, the moment that you hired a CEO in your business.
Yeah. So
that must have been a moment, sorry.
Yeah, no, it was really cool. I'll go investment and then we'll do CEO, shall we? That's the order, that's the chronological order.
Let's do it.
So it was February 2020, actually, and it was just lockdown, I think. And I remember speaking to Maxine and Brad and Rich at the time, which is kind of like the four sort of, I guess, senior leadership people in AC. And I think we had 12 employees and we were turning over about 12 million, actually.
Wow. That's nuts in itself.
And packing from our garage.
12 employees, 12 million.
We had a little garage. We knocked basically like loads of stuff down to build a triple garage. And then we had this drive. Our driveway was really steep and we'd get like pallets of collagen delivered, but we didn't have like an electric pallet thing. So it would be like me and my mum, I'd like hold it and we'd hold this thing that'd be like a half a ton on wheels coming down this driveway.
And this was to fulfill from the garage?
Yeah, and then Royal Mail would turn up, but they couldn't get down the drive and they'd stop at the top and then the bus would get blocked and then all the neighbours were looking at us like, what the fuck are you doing?
So hang on a minute, let me get this straight. You're fulfilling £12 million worth of orders from a garage?
Yeah. It's wild.
Wow.
It was really bizarre.
One like couriers like, you can't keep doing this shit anymore.
Do you know what? They all follow, because obviously we've moved warehouses twice now. We've got like a 10,000 square foot branded yellow. It's great. All like our couriers follow me on Instagram and they'll always message you like, you guys are doing so well. I see you, I follow you. I'm like, yay. I'm like, send me your address, I'll send you a product. Yeah. But they love it. And we used to, at the beginning, like you'd take it all to the post office. So I'd go in with like a bag of post, then I'd go in with 2 bags. And they were like, we don't have the space for this, like you need to book someone to come and get it yourself. I was like, oh, okay, that's how this works. But it was a massive learning curve. I remember when we started fulfilling ourselves, we did 300 orders on that day and it was like we didn't know how to do it, so I just pressed print, but it printed all the orders off in a random order and I was like, oh my god. And then we just had these labels like everywhere. I'm like, but it was wild. And then you'd get like a Daily Mail article, and I remember one time we had like 500 orders in like an hour and we had to turn the phones off. There was only like 3 of us. Me and my mum were actually in India at the time, so it was only like Charlotte and Brad and 500 orders doing everything.
They're like, get back now. Literally, we need to be picking and packing.
Sleeper train. It was
my god,
wild. But investment. So February 2020 we decided to take investment, and it was a conversation between me and Maxine and Brad. And it was kind of like, what do you want to do to take the business forward? Maxine she's 58. She was CEO at the time. And it was almost a conversation that, do you want to take it forward or not? I was like, absolutely, yeah. There's so much headroom here. The industry's really cool. Like what we're doing is amazing. We need to do more of it. But you look out into the office, there's 12 people. They've got families. They support their families. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just doing my best. Maxine didn't work when I was growing up. She didn't know what we're doing, but we didn't have the business experience. And if we want to take it to the next level, and we talked a lot about gut feel and stuff earlier, is we did a lot on emotional and EQ, gut feel, what felt right. The business needed to change. So we sought investment and we found corporate finance advisors and went through that process. I didn't understand what due diligence meant, and now I get nightmares about it. So that was like 9 months of like 11 o'clock at night. And we'd have like, I don't know, we'd have calls with our lawyers on, I don't even know the name of it, but okay, what's happened in your life that could potentially come up at the transaction, all that stuff. And Maxine's just reading off things and they're sat there like, we usually deal with like 50-year-old white men, like you guys are hilarious. So they're like happy with us.
So I got a tattoo last week, had my nose pierced and I've cut my hair. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Is that going to come up in due diligence?
But it was I'm so thankful for the opportunities that I get. Like doing that at like 22, 23, maybe 24, I can't remember, 2020 was amazing. Like I got access to stuff that people don't ever get in their careers, that work their asses off and try and climb like corporate ladders or whatever. And I'm always like super like thankful for that. And I do question how I got this opportunity a lot of the time. So then we took investment from Living Bridge in December 2020, 17th of December. I can remember because my sister got COVID that day. So it was the same day. And they invested 14 million in the business for a minority share. But yeah, that relationship's been really, really good. Part of the reason we wanted it was that strategic piece rather than the cash. Like, we're cash generative business. Like, we didn't really need the cash to grow. Was how can we bring people in that are going to really take the business forward, and hence bringing in a CEO. Maxine stepped down. That was all sort of the plan. Like, she's happy doing that. So we brought in a CEO. We interviewed quite a lot of people, and we took a lady called Frances on. So she's ex-vice president of Amazon. Super cool credentials. But even seeing her come into the business, she's come from Amazon, like Arcadia, Philip Green, kind of Topshop. They're just different environments. They're very corporate. Even seeing her over the past sort of 3 years change in the way that she is, like actually taking a bit of a holiday when she's on holiday. Just the tonality of how she's like grown, I guess, at AC and changed it's been really nice to see. And a lot of people experience that, I think.
What's been the hardest part of giving away some of that responsibility to a seasoned C-suite person from a business that was being funded by a remortgaged house a few years before, to then going, wow, we've now got somebody that on paper has all the credentials to grow a multi-million-pound business? What's been the hardest part of that journey?
With Frances and CEO, there's never been a point where I'm like, this is the wrong thing to do. And like, I'm really open to change, and I'm very much not, if someone knows what they're doing, I'm like, go ahead and do it. Like, I'm not, like, you asked me earlier about how do you feel your mum being the sort of face, like that doesn't bother me. But I think what's been a big thing for me is when we did take investment, we had a lot of cool people come on board. CVs were insane, like some people that I could never even imagine having conversations with, to be honest. And I would basically just say yes to whatever they proposed or thought was the best thing, because I was like, well, you've got the t-shirt, like you've been there. That wasn't the best thing to do. And I think I've learned to like believe in myself a little bit more. Like, I know the customer really well. I know the brand really well. And I think everyone knows the brand really well, but no one can read minds, right? That's another thing I've learned. It's just to like trust myself a little bit more and go with that gut instinct sometimes if you feel something's not right.
Were you scared that they might take the business in a direction that you weren't happy with?
Yeah, that's always been a big worry, but it's never happened. And I think it's actually really interesting speaking to our investors. I asked them about a year after. I was like, so what did you think when you first met me and Maxine? Because they came initially to, I think we just moved into our warehouse at that point. So our first investment meetings were at our house, and then they moved to our warehouse.
Did Maxine cook them lunch? That's what I want to know.
It was COVID, so we had to sit outside. It's really weird.
They wanted some ham hock.
And yeah, monkfish curry, ham hock, whatever you want. They weren't even allowed to go to the bathroom. Like that's the COVID stage of that. But we had our first investment meetings at our new warehouse, and he was like, "Oh, I walked out and I wasn't going to invest any money in your business." He was like, "I didn't believe in the fact that you and your mum could take it forward." But we didn't either. To be fair, like we wanted to build an appropriate C-suite team that was going to take it forward. But then the person that was with him reminded him, if they could build brands like we've built brands, they wouldn't need us. And then he kind of, I think, mulled over that for the next week, and we ended up getting, I guess, in my opinion, probably one of the strongest investors in like our space. Because there's a lot of weaker investors, but Living Bridge they're really, really good for us and to us, to be fair.
Wow. Your first investment meeting, walked away saying, no, they don't believe in you.
Yeah.
But now you've found a partner that you feel is really right for your business.
Yeah, well, it's the same partner, but I think they're just the change of perspective, I guess, which is a massive thing.
Has the business felt like it has changed from, working at your house to becoming, dare I say it, a proper business where you've got investors to answer to, or maybe does it feel more corporate? Have you felt a change in the way the business actually runs?
I think we're getting to that inflection point again, to be honest. So we're about 80 people at the moment, and when we took investment, I thought I'll probably leave the business in 6 months to a year. Like, I won't cope with the changes and the differences. And whenever someone new comes in the business, especially like leadership team, and I think they kind of tippy-toe around me a bit because they're not really sure how to like act. But I'm like, dude, you can't offend me. We've hired you for a reason. I don't really care what happens to me in the business. If I'm doing something good and helping the business, I'm happy. If I'm not, and if I'm preventing that in some way, kick me out. Like, I just want the business to do well because we've got people in it. We've got customers. That's the most important thing. I'm not. And I think once I say that, they're like, oh, okay. I get it a little bit more, especially with Maxine. But of course, it's changed. Like I said, with the meeting structures and all things like that, and the processes. Like before, it would be just me going, oh, let's launch serum, develop a serum, really good serum, launch it. No one really asked me any questions. We haven't done any market research, blah, blah, blah. Now it's like we've got processes and stage gates. If we want to launch something, we're launching something on March, actually, which is really, really cool, like a industry kind of first. There's so much more to undergo and so many people to tell about it. And it's like, how do you actually communicate that out? And I think the people problems get bigger the bigger you get. Yeah.
Do you envision a moment where you won't love that anymore and you want out?
There's ups and downs. Like, I've realised January really isn't a good time for me. That's what I've realised. Every January I'm like, oh, it's terrible.
It's been a dark January, let's be honest.
Yeah. But no, like, I love what I do, and I'm really open. And if I'm not happy, I'll say I'm not happy. And you can tell it on my face. I'm not poker face. I don't have poker face.
That directness is coming out.
Yeah, like, I'll just sit there and you can tell if I'm happy, because I know that I'm like quite an extroverted person. Like, I like being around people, and if I'm not happy, that kind of gets a bit subdued and dulled down. Mm-hmm. And the people in the business, they know I'm not happy. So I just I've learned that I just need to speak about it and be open about it. And I think that's all you can do, really. And then if you can change something, good. And if you can't, find a way to figure it out and move through it.
Darcy, I've loved this conversation. Honestly, it's been so refreshing to hear like honest feedback of what it's like working with your family, how the business has gone to the heights that it's at now, mm-hmm. and maybe what the future might hold for you guys. Thank you so much for joining us on CharleChats, the e-commerce podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you. And I hope to have you back again in the future and see what you're up to.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Darcy. Thank you so much for joining us on episode 16 of CharleChats, the e-commerce podcast. What a conversation. Rarely are conversations like this so honest, transparent, and unique. Please follow us on socials, and we'll be back again real soon.